Hey guys, so we've got a pretty epic, pretty explosive, pretty big time, very powerful week of astrology going on this week. All week energy is really building towards this full moon in Gemini that is going to be happening on Thursday, and it's happening in an exact conjunction to Mars. We are really going to want to try to control our temper a bit this week, you guys. We may feel just frustration or angst or hostility sort of like simmering under the surface, like it's about to explode. There may be a lot of hot air that people are kind of spewing all over the place. People may be erupting or exploding out of their mouth with this, that, or the other. There's a lot of conversations, a lot of information, huge emphasis on what we're learning, what we're talking about, what we are coming to understand at this point in time. And this week could also be representing actually like a week of redos, second chances. And this time with this second chance, it's the chance to do it right. So there is an energy this week that is also coming in that is really helping us to try something again, but in a better way that is more likely to lead to some type of successful outcome as well. Let's get into this chart. Let's look at how this energy is playing out for us today and what we may be able to expect in our experience on the ground. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, December 5th, 2022. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook of the day. If you stick with me until the end of the report, we're also going to be doing a collective tarot reading for all of us today because I like to tap the field for more than one modality just to get a more well-rounded overview of what's playing out for us on an energetic level. So we're going to do that as well, but we, of course, are starting with the astrology this week, you guys. It's a big week. Like I said, the emphasis, it's all boiling down though to some very basic points. And those essentially, in my opinion, and the way this is playing out, have a lot to do with exposing truth in the context of where we've been being deceived or some type of an illusion that we've been operating in or some type of a facade or false pretense or false narrative. These are the type of things that I feel like are sort of dissolving in the energy this week. Now remember, we also had Neptune recently stationed direct over the weekend. Neptune also rules like projections and fantasies and illusions and false narratives and media propaganda and all types of projection and stuff like that. And with Neptune now going direct, and Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius forming a square to Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. While we have Mars retrograde this week, you guys, still in a loose square to Neptune and coming into an opposition with the sun for this full moon that we have coming up. Definite element of explosive revelations, sort of blowing to smithereens any illusions that we had been operating under from the past that were keeping us from aligning with an authentic truth in any situation that is necessary for us in order to actually go through the divinely aligned phase of growth that universe is calling us towards right now. So very significant energy that we have building in all week. Huge emphasis again today, I feel like specifically on relaying information, communications, things going back and forth between people, dialogues, interactions, encounters, and the spread of information generally. Very big news this week. Now, let's just think about it for a minute before we start really getting into, the specific transits and what this may be bringing for us through the context or throughout the course of the day. I want you guys to think about this for a second. We're talking about, first of all, in the context of our whole energy that we have playing out, Mars right now retrograding, okay, in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is all about news and information and what we're learning and what we're understanding and what we're saying, what we're talking about, the mindset that we're holding, our general perception of things and how that colors our thought processes generally, and of course what we're communicating about and all of those mercurial mental energy based information based things. Okay, and then we're talking about Mars. This is our action, this is our energy, this is our passion, this is our motivation, this is our assertiveness. All right, so with Mars here in the sign of Gemini and also retrograde, this is bringing up things from the past. This is things that we've tried before. This is things that we put our energy into before. Mars is also fights and conflicts. This is past fights, past disagreements, past breakdowns, past conflicts, past disputes and arguments as well in the sign of Gemini. And with Mars here retrograding, we're talking about an active process of gaining new information or learning something new or seeing things from a different perspective or expanding our mind with the Sagittarius polarity as well in such a way that helps us to gain like a new perspective on these things that we have asserted ourselves in, or got into a fight with, or been fighting for, like been in the midst of a conflict in terms of the past. Okay, it's something about the past being like rehashed out, but in terms of like a new set of information or a new set of facts being Gemini. This is past arguments, past fights, past disputes, past things that we've started that never were followed through on, or didn't make it to fruition, or just didn't pan out, or that we got distracted from and took our energy, withdrew our energy from, revisited. This is things from the past that we've been actively engaged in, revisited based on, again, a set of new information, differing facts, a new mindset, a new perspective, a new attitude about it, something along those lines. That is really what I feel like this Mars retrograde on one hand is bringing in terms of, our personal experiences, and also in the context of things happening on like a larger world scale. And today we are talking about this energy, this Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini energy, which is ruled by the planet Mercury, right? Mercury rules Gemini. So Mercury is ruling the current position of Mars. Whatever is going on with Mercury has a lot to do with how this Mars retrograde energy is expressing itself. What is happening with Mercury? This is where the Mars retrograde energy is feeding into. Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius, in the very end of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about truth, it's about belief, it's about expansion, it's about a higher perspective, okay? Mercury, the mind, gaining some type of higher expanded perspective based in truth, forming this square, okay? This breakthrough aspect, this aspect that builds tension to Jupiter, who is ruling the position of Mercury, because Mercury is in Sagittarius, who is ruled by Jupiter. So if we think about Mars retrograde, okay, you guys, right now in the energy of today, tomorrow, while we have Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius, Jupiter is actually ruling ultimately the position of Mars right now, right? And Mars is about going retrograde in Gemini, gaining new information that helps us to rehash something in a more productive way going forward, okay? To reinitiate something, to have a second chance of doing something over and doing it better based in what Jupiter, based in the truth, okay? Jupiter right now is in domicile in his home sign of rulership, original rulership, ancient rulership, the sign of Pisces. This is Neptune having just gone direct. Pisces is the sign of our spiritual connection and spiritual truth we're talking about in higher truth we're talking about with Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. But Pisces is also the illusion and the narrative and the propaganda and the false perceptions, the false pretenses, the fantasies, the dreams, the idealizations, the rose-colored glasses. So Mercury, the mind, the clear cognition, in the sign of Sagittarius, ruling truth, forming a square to Jupiter, ruling the position of Mercury in the sign of Pisces. This to me is another indication, especially with Mars retrograde in Gemini, of some type of an illusion dissolving, breaking down, coming to a head, some truth breaking through that helps us that takes us back to a scenario in the past that didn't go right, or that wasn't executed properly, or that wasn't followed through with, or that was left unresolved. And through this new information or this truth that we're seeing clearly now, we can now have a second chance at like resolving or acting or following through on something in a way that is actually doing it right this time. So this is the energy that we are starting our weekend, okay, as we are moving into this very powerful energy that is coming with this full moon Thursday that is really going to be putting a huge emphasis on this even more. All week building into Thursday, and then following that for a few days as well, there's probably going to be some things from the past that we find ourselves re-engaged in again in some type of way that is coming again from this differing perspective or viewpoint, or alongside a differing set of facts or information or data than we had access to or that we understood in the past. Happening in big and unrestrained ways, okay? Mercury squaring Jupiter today as well. And that brings us to the aspects that we're going to be talking about specifically for today. We have Mercury in square to Jupiter that we're going to be talking about. We also, as I said, have the moon coming into a conjunction with Uranus in the North Node today as well. So big information, yes. Truth breaking through illusion, yes. But also in a way that is really awakening us to something that is crucial and important and a necessary, piece of an overall unfolding puzzle, okay? Like part of a bigger picture, some divine alignment, some divinely orchestrated happenings, also very much incorporated alongside in whatever we're learning. It's like whatever we're learning in this energy today, it may be emotionally upsetting to some extent. It may be shocking. It may be very surprising. Like it might like shock the psyche, but it's definitely likely to drastically like spontaneously awaken us to something, really maybe like change the trajectory of things for us in one way or another. But there is a huge air of divine alignment and like necessity in terms of the overall unfolding cosmic blueprint, with the North Node in Uranus also being involved in this today. So main aspect that we're talking about today in the context of this Mars retrograde energy and building towards this full moon is, again, the emphasis that is going on Mars retrograde, because Mercury ruling Mars retrograde is forming the square to Jupiter. Jupiter is ruling the Sagittarius cycle that we are in. Jupiter's large and in charge right now. Jupiter's bringing the truth. And with Mars in Gemini, you guys, this is truth bombs. Like this is explosive truth bombs. Like, blow your mind type of stuff we got going on. Now, I will say Mercury squaring Jupiter does bring a couple of red flags with it, and there is some symbolism today that I will talk about a little later. There's also indicating a need to sort of, watch taking things to kind of like excess and allow ourselves to become like overly inflated by things today in one way or another. But the main red flags really with the Mercury squaring Jupiter aspect have to do with taking things overboard, going way over the top, overblowing things, exaggerating things, taking them to excess, and also like a negligence for the fine print or the details or like the little intricacies in the plan. And that's because actually when we're talking about square aspects, the square between Mercury and Jupiter is actually one of the more beneficial, positive, benefic squares, because squares are 90-degree aspects and these bring tension and conflict and they bring things to a head. And a lot of times that can be like a more disturbing and uncomfortable energy. But when we're talking about it in the context of Mercury and Jupiter, this actually has a tendency of being a more positive and optimistic and uplifting and like fortunate aspect actually. But what it can do is like give us an inflated sense of self a little bit of self-aggrandizement or self-righteousness as well is something that we need to watch out for, especially also in the context of this hyperactive Mars energy right now. Mars rules our ego. I'm telling you guys, people could really be just totally flying off the handle, just really getting caught up in like fits of rage or just way like ego, like feeling like an ego wound and just like totally, going to battle over it. Like that is really something that should not be unexpected for people to behaving like that in this energy when we have this emphasis on the Mars retrograde. But a lot of this aggression or this anger or this whatever, it could also be burnout. Like that's another way that this energy could be coming up. Like people could also be feeling very overwhelmed and just like almost to the point of burnout and depression as well. So we've kind of got two ends of the spectrum. We got people that are just overwhelmed, totally burnt out, and maybe feeling like depressed and just like depleted. And then on the other hand, it's people that are just like so fired up and it like in a way that's really unrestrainable or uncontrollable. And it could get kind of like violent and people could really be doing, acting, and especially saying just some very, very aggressive and hostile and like hurtful stuff. Like this is definitely the verbal swords slashing for sure. But with the Mercury Jupiter, this is, like I said, generally the more positive, optimistic transit. And this energy gives us a really strong, profound ability to see the whole picture. And that plays also right into this truth energy that's coming out. Like people could be, this is also like the divine masculine, sort of the spiritual warrior type of energy. Like this is people willing to fight for what they believe in. This is retribution as well. There could be like a lot of retribution type of vibes going on this week. And with this moon, with what is coming out, this is like, finding out where we've been deceived for a long period of time and where we've made poor choices or decisions for ourselves based on not understanding or operating under some type of false perception, and then coming to understand the truth and being like righteous anger ignited about it and like not holding back. Like that's also what could be very like prevalent among the collective as this energy is playing out as well. Jupiter, though, as I was saying, in this square to Mercury, it gives us this really great foresight, this really great ability to see the whole picture, the bird's eye view, what's going on from like the higher perspective. It gives us an ability to make some really like long-term plans that have an ability to be successful. But again, what it doesn't do necessarily is give us an ability to like see the details in the fine print and like really like make sure that, you know, nothing is leaking or seeping out. Like we can neglect or overlook some of the more important details in this. So, you know, we don't really want to be rushing ahead with things right now, you guys. With Mars direct or Mars retrograde as well, this is not energy for like starting new things and rushing forward and taking big new spontaneous actions and stuff like that. This is about resolving things from the past. Like I was saying, like going back and doing it again from a new perspective, with new information and better ideas. And if we're going to fight for something, it's most likely pertaining to, you know, where we've been wronged in the past and trying to like rebalance the scales right now or set things right now as well, especially with Uranus being activated today by the moon as well. Uranus is the great rectifier and Uranus sets things right. But with Sag and Pisces, you guys, the sign placement of this square today between Mercury and Jupiter, both ruling Mars retrograde right now in the sign of Gemini. This is all about exposing the truth, breaking down and dissolving the Pisces energy, illusions, narratives, fantasies, dreams that are like way out of alignment. All of that is going in this energy, okay? And it's big time. Like I said, this is like big time truth bombs that just totally blow our mind. And they have a significant impact, okay? Like on what we're gonna do next. This is like, and how things are going to go, okay, going forward. Another thing this could do, I do feel like, is bridging people back together. Again, this could be like resolution type of energy. This energy that we have coming through, you know, on one hand, there could be explosive stuff going on that is really dividing and separating people and having people going their own ways sort of once and for all. However, long-standing disputes or separations, again, based on a lack of clarity or based on not having all the information or based on, you know, a distorted viewpoint or perception that we are coming to realize was in place right now, or based on this new set of facts or information or data that's coming to us, this could also be bridging these people back together or resolving these differences or these feuds or these arguments or these like lack of ability to, you know, see eye to eye that have been causing these conflicts. So there could be resolutions coming through in terms of long-standing conflicts between people or sides or polarities or divisions as well. I mean, we're in the heights, you guys, of polarity energy right now with Mars and Gemini so activated. Gemini's the twins, polarities, partners, pairs, lovers, union, soul-based matches and reflections and mirror images, but also polarity and division and oppositions, okay? Polar opposites and things separating and parallel tracks and stuff like that as well. So two sides of the same coin, you guys. Everything to do with duplicity or polarity or twins or pairs or just polarizations, and also mirror images and reflections, very emphasized as this energy is coming through this week as well. So things splitting apart, but things splitting apart that have been together that are realizing that they are no longer on the same frequency, things coming back together that realize that they were not on the same frequency because they had been seeing things from a faulty viewpoint or a faulty perspective. Okay, I feel like that is generally what this energy is trying to indicate and the impact that it's kind of having. Now let's talk about the second aspect that we have really playing out today, and this is the moon in Taurus, okay, forming a conjunction to both the north node of the moon. This is the destiny point. This is the hand of God. This is where we're going next. This is the trajectory have ahead. This is the path of evolution. This is the path of growth in the sign of Taurus. This has to do with recognizing and cultivating the truth of our own personal resources, our own internal resources, recognizing our value, recognizing our potential, and actually cultivating it and doing something with it to stabilize and bring like comfort and beauty and abundance to our external world in one way or another as a part of this process of self-actualization that universe is calling us all on right now, as we are activating our potential and being called towards also activating our destiny as we are going through this paradigm shift and entering the age of Aquarius. That is really the name of the game and what it's all about. But with the north node being activated today by the moon is a trigger for planets. Whenever the moon is activating a planet or an aspect, it puts an emphasis on this planet, on this energy, on this aspect. So there is a definite emphasis on the hand of God orchestrating divine alignments, divine interventions, synchronicities, things coming into the appropriate order at the appropriate time, divine timing going on in the context of whatever is playing out today. And then the moon will come into a conjunction with Uranus as well. Uranus is the great rectifier, the great awakener, the silver lining planet, brings blessings in disguise, but shocks, surprises, things happening unexpectedly. We're talking about the moon. This could be emotional upsets or things that are sort of shaking us up. This could definitely be changes to plans going on today as well, but it's also sudden awakenings and maybe something sort of hitting us like a lightning bolt out of nowhere that is really opening our eyes to some type of truth that has been keeping us, North Node in Taurus, from recognizing the truth of our potential or seeing our value in one way or feeling empowered to go through this process of really tapping into that, cultivating it, and separating ourselves perhaps from the people, the relationships, the circumstances, the situations, the mindsets as well that have been stealing our power in one way or another for any reason. That's an aspect of this. But also, these awakenings that could be going on, or these shifts or changes of plans, they could be this necessary part of this divinely aligned sequence of events that is also playing out today and this week, very much so, as we are really learning what we need to learn, gaining the information we need to gain so that we can start making choices that are actually good for us, okay? Gemini is also the sign of choices, options, decisions, alternatives. Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini with these squares between Jupiter and Mercury, Sagittarius, Pisces. It's like whatever we are finding out is also giving us the perspective or the information that we need to make better choices so that, maybe what we had started working on before that never came to fruition can this time, or so that we can do it right this time because we're making a different choice, right? Based on this different mindset because we're understanding things differently. So I feel like that is very much wrapped up into all of this as well. Now, we also have the sun coming into an opposition with Mars. Of course, we've sort of been talking about this all report by emphasizing and referencing the full moon that we have coming up, because the full moon is when the sun and the moon come into exact opposition with each other. Of course, this is going to be marking the midpoint in our Sagittarius cycle. The sun in Sagittarius, the moon coming into Gemini, but the moon is going to be lining up exactly with Mars, which will mean that Mars is in exact opposition to the sun. So we are building into Mars opposing the sun all week as, part of this full moon energy that's also coming into fruition. And again, this is really putting this emphasis and shining this light on this process of reworking and redoing based on this new information that may be presenting itself to us in maybe some big ways that's having an impact on our mind, and therefore what we're thinking, what we're doing, how we're acting, and how we're going to use our energy essentially going forward. So it's time to finish what we started, you guys, but this time we're doing it right, is I feel like the vibes that this is just giving overall. Now, like I said earlier, symbolically today, there are some references to not allowing ourselves to take things to excess or to overly inflate in any type of way. And specifically in regards, I feel like, to our ego. And I'm saying this because this is very interesting and this never happens, but we have two Sabian symbols. The Sabian symbols of both Venus and Mercury today. Mercury is at 29 Sagittarius, Venus is at 25 Sagittarius. And both of those Sabian symbols are referencing, 29 Sagittarius, where Mercury is, that Sabian is a fat boy mowing the lawn. And then Venus, 25 Sagittarius, a chubby little rich boy rides upon a hobby horse. So both of these are referencing a boy who is a bit overly inflated, I guess we could say, a little bit on the thick side. And since they're both referencing this, to me, in the context of this Jupiter energy, which expands things, and these are the planets Mercury and Venus, I feel like this is talking about not allowing ourselves to, again, take things to excess, specifically in terms of what's coming out of our mouth, and also what's coming out of our mouth and what we're saying to others as well with Venus there, but also maybe what we're buying. Maybe watch overspending or over speaking or over indulging, I guess we could say, in various things. I feel like this is referencing today, which does, again, with the Jupiter square, makes sense because the square to Jupiter with whatever planet we're talking about has a tendency of blowing things up and taking things to excess. So I wanted to mention that. And there's another reference in the Sabians today that is definitely putting an emphasis on connection between people and the flow of information as well. Now, I find it very interesting. The Earth today is at 14 degrees of Gemini. That Sabian symbol is bridging physical space and social distinction. Two men communicate telepathically. So I feel like this is silently like people getting on the same page or the same frequency about things, perhaps without even maybe realizing it. But, this information component coming through as well, or this communication component coming through as well. And then we also have Mars right now at 18 degrees of Gemini. That Sabian symbol is two Chinese men talking Chinese. So the Earth at 14 Gemini is bridging physical space and social distinction. Two men communicate telepathically. And then Mars is two Chinese men talking Chinese. So both of these symbols are referencing two men talking, right? So all this emphasis, this is like intuition and telepathic communication. Like, I feel like this could indicate a day where the telepathic frequency among the collective is just maybe a bit stronger. You might want to pay attention more to, what signals you feel like you're picking up on today. But there is just this emphasis on information going back and forth, information spreading, conversations, communications, and this Gemini energy, twins, pairs, partners, but also oppositions and divisions, bridging differences, bridging divisions through speaking the same language as well. So very interesting in the context of all of this other stuff that we have playing out right now, and also an emphasis on China coming through in the Sabian symbols as well. So that's what I have to say today, you guys, in terms of the astrology, in terms of how it's playing out and coming through for us today. I feel like this is just a very big information week that we have going on. This is, like I said, it's likely to be explosive, especially as we get towards the midpoint of the week and then carrying out the last 2 weeks of our Sagittarius cycle as well. We knew it was going to be. If we take this back, though, you guys, to the beginning of our Sagittarius cycle, there were extremely positive indications coming in for the nature of our Sag cycle that we're in now generally. So, I do feel that, like I said, there is definitely this like information war component of things and, violence and very heated things going on and people being, extremes of like anger and rage and conflict and fights and stuff, but also, and especially like considering we're in a cycle that was really very blessed to begin with, I do feel like there's likely to be, it's a cycle of division, right? It's a cycle of polarities. It's a cycle of division. The Gemini and the Sagittarius axis is very strong and highlighted with Mars in the sign of Gemini this cycle. So things are going both ways. There's two sides of the coin that are very, very much simultaneously active right now. But I do feel like the light wins in this case. Like, I feel like whatever is erupting or whatever is coming out or whatever is exploding is ultimately for the purpose of doing something good for us in some type of way. Or it's like the fights that we're fighting now are to clear something up that has been unjust or that has been unfair or that has been unfinished. This is not the time to start fights, you guys. This is the time to finish fights. We are closing things up. Like, this is the final round. Like, if we're fighting for something, it's fighting for something from the past that was not fair, that was not balanced, that was based in falsehood, or that was just that needs to be redone and brought to a better octave in one way or another. That's what I feel like all this is indicating. And we got some big stuff coming at us, and heading into our Capricorn cycle and closing out the rest of this year, I feel like we're going to be a lot wiser, a lot stronger. I feel like we're going to feel a lot more self-empowered and really sort of be ready to start taking some action with this cardinal cycle coming up to make some changes for ourselves that are moving us in a direction in alignment with the newly defined ideas of who we are and what we can become and who we want to be going forward. That this whole period of time, specifically this whole past retrograde season and everything that we've been through over actually the past year and a half or so, moving on 2 years now, has brought us towards. This is a continuation and a culmination and a resolution of things that really began 2019 the beginning of 2020, 2021, all the way up and through now, up until now. So that's what we got going on in terms of the astrology today, you guys. Let's talk about the tarot for a minute. Interesting message that we had coming out of the tarot cards. They came out in very specific, like, groupings of cards today, and I felt like that was important in terms of the message. So we're gonna go with it in terms of the way that these cards just came out. Now, the first card that we had coming out of the deck today is the Four of Wands. And then we actually have the Ace of Wands, or the Ace of Pentacles, followed by the Lovers card on the back of the deck. So this is telling me actually that the energy and what's happening right now is to restore balance and to restore opportunities, to bring us to a point where we are ready to start moving towards and embracing some new opportunities that are a much better reflection of that which is actually mirroring what will bring us a sense of inner harmony and inner balance and inner fulfillment, which is very much actually in alignment with this 222 year vibration and what this whole year has been trying to do for us. If you've been following my channel, you know a little bit about that. But that overall, before we get into the other energies coming through, is what this is saying to me. Regardless of what is happening this week, there is energy coming through, or whatever is playing out right now is for the purpose of restoring opportunities to us that are going to be a much better reflection and help us to align with an experience that makes us feel much more balanced and harmonious and fulfilled internally. Okay. The next set of cards that we had coming out, and they both came out together, was Death in reverse, followed by the Ten of Cups in reverse. And to me, this is saying, these two cards coming out together, we are coming to the end of a period of time where we were transforming that which really truly brings us that sense of inner fulfillment. So if we're talking about these first few cards that we were referencing and sort of the energy working to reset us with a reflection of that which is authentic, to bring us a sense of like balance and peace and fulfillment internally, to like reunite us with our own personal truth really, and the opportunities that can come to us as a result of that. The next two cards I feel like are talking about this internalized transformation that's going on in terms of what we are understanding or coming to realize will bring us that sense of true fulfillment. And, you know, ending the things in our experience or the relationships or the, you know, the connections or the situations or the current things that we've been engaged in, the situations and the circumstances generally in our lives that have been out of alignment with the truth of like our authentic expression, right? Our authentic reflection and what we really need to feel fulfilled. So I feel like this is talking about, simultaneously, we have these cards talking about how we are being recalibrated essentially through whatever's playing out to be able to embrace what is meant for us. And this is talking about the end of what is no longer meant for us. And then we've got these three cards that came out all together as well. The World, the Chariot in reverse, and the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. This to me is talking about the end of a cycle where we were working against ourselves, where we were sabotaging ourselves in some type of way, where we were always pushing forward and moving towards that which would never bring us into our true potential. We're talking about the Nine of Pentacles. This is the self-made woman. This is the individual who has access, ignited, manifest, lives in the abundance that results from the expression of their true authentic potential. The Chariot, this is a card of forward movement and willpower and motivation and making something happen for ourselves. With them in reverse, this is us working against our own purpose, working against our own potential, or neglecting our potential, or hiding from it, or moving in the opposite direction from it, sabotaging it in some type of a way. The World is about coming to completion, coming to the end of a cycle. And this could be referencing, you know, the greater world, the macrocosm, the overall. This is happening on a collective level as well. The collective is moving away from that which has been essentially like working against our own interests, or keeping us also in a state of lack, or of lack of recognition of the truth of our value as well. We are moving away from a self-perception or a worldview that kept us from seeing the truth of our value, our power, our potency, and our ability to translate that into actual abundance and independence as well. And then the last card that we had coming out, you guys, was the Five of Wands. Now, this is a card of conflict. This is a card of fighting back. And remember, the first card that we had coming out was the Four of Wands. So we have a progression here, a Four of Wands to a Five of Wands. This tells me, you guys, that in this Mars energy this week, we're fighting for it, okay? We are actively working towards or actively pushing back against or actively fighting for this reharmonization process that is going on, for the end of this cycle, for this transformation to take place, for this realignment with the truth of that which is authentic to us so that we can go in this new direction. And, you know, we go from the Ace of Pentacles to the Nine of Pentacles so that we can take these opportunities and grow them into their maximum potential and capability and like activate our destiny. And, you know, then we have the Lovers card again. This is these divine unions, these divine alignments, these opportunities, these partnerships, and also these choices, considering this Mars retrograde energy as well, and us having a second chance, a second opportunity, redoing things, making better choices to put ourselves in a place that can actually help us to grab some opportunities and develop them to their full potential instead of being in a situation where we are working against ourselves based on a faulty or over idealized or false perception of our own reality, of our own selves, of our own circumstances, our relationships, our potential. And that illusion is breaking through today, and that is transforming what it is that we feel like we want at this point in time, and then what we are wanting to embraces our own, embraces our truth, and follow to fruition. So that's what I have to say today, you guys, in terms of the tarot cards that are coming out, the tarot message. I just feel like this is a very powerful week, you guys. We are closing out this year and we have some fireworks that are going to be going on this week. Synchronicity message, God, Spirit, Universe. What's one additional piece of advice that we need to know as we navigate our experience today? What can benefit us? And there it is. So interesting, you guys. I can't believe this is the card that just flipped over. What did I say? Five of Wands. This says, do not waver. Do not waver. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. James 1:6. When an opportunity is knocking at your door, you guys, what did I just say about this? Where is it? This Ace of Pentacles. When an opportunity is knocking at your door, grab it and go forward. Don't try to make up your mind about it. If it's there and it pertains to something for which you have been wishing, grab it, go forward, have joy in your new life, new opportunities. We are redoing things this week, you guys. We have a second chance at success, at doing it right, at making the right choice this time, and that is what we're doing. Do not waver, okay? If the opportunity is coming to you, especially if it's related to the past and a second chance to do something again, shoot that shot, take that opportunity. Do not waver, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. God, universe, great spirit, that is what is coming through today, you guys. And that's what I have to say. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think they would like this type of content and be interested in this type of astrology as well. Leave me comments, you guys. I am so grateful for all of you being here. Thank you so much. Your presence here means so much to me, and I really appreciate your feedback. I love knowing how these aspects are affecting you guys. Thank you so much once again. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, a website, and some other socials in my description box below if you're into any of that. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. I'm not going to be making a video for tomorrow. Tomorrow has a lot of the same energy carrying over as it does today, or as we do today. Tomorrow we are going to be having the exact activation of Mercury in square to Jupiter. So a lot of the stuff I'm saying today still applies tomorrow. We will also have a moon in Taurus tomorrow. I'm actually taking the day off tomorrow because I'm trying to make some additional content. And so that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So you guys have even more coming at you for the rest of the week, but I will be back on Wednesday, Thursday, and for your weekend report this week. So I will definitely be here. You guys should be here too. You don't want to miss it. And I will see you then, everybody. Have a beautiful day. And today and tomorrow, remember, try not to take it over the top. Try not to overspend, overindulge too much in things. That is some symbolic guidance coming through as well. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Until then, you guys, bye.